Welcome back, seekers of the supernatural and guardians of the goosebumps. If you've found your way here, it's likely that you share a fascination with the eerie and the inexplicable, the kind of stories that send shivers down your spine and leave you glancing over your shoulder long after the tale has ended. We are not just storytellers, we are explorers of the unknown, delving deep into the realms where history meets horror and reality blurs into the spectral. Today, we embark on a chilling journey through one of the most unsettling objects in paranormal lore, a simple wooden doll. At first glance, it might seem like an innocent artifact, perhaps a relic from a child's playroom or a dusty antique shop find. But beneath its carved surface lies a darker narrative, one steeped in tragedy, mystery, and whispers of the supernatural. From cursed antiques to haunted heirlooms, wooden dolls have long been associated with eerie encounters and unexplainable phenomena. In this installment, we will traverse the haunting tales surrounding these seemingly innocuous objects. These are not mere ghost stories, they are fragments of a past that refuses to be forgotten, beckoning us to explore their depths and perhaps confront our own fears. Dim the lights and prepare to step into the shadows. By the end of this exploration, you'll not only understand why wooden dolls have earned their place in the annals of horror but also feel the haunting presence of their histories pressing against your very soul. Are you ready? Let's dive into the heart of this eerie legacy. And remember, what you're about to discover may leave you questioning whether some objects truly carry a life of their own, or if they've been watching you all along. The cursed origins of the wooden doll. A tale of craftsmanship and tragedy. The story begins in a small, secluded village nestled deep within the mist-shrouded forests of Eastern Europe during the late 19th century. Known for its skilled artisans and master woodworkers, the village thrived on crafting intricate carvings and handmade toys, each piece imbued with meticulous detail and cultural significance. Among these artisans was a man named Viktor Krasnov, a reclusive craftsman renowned for his ability to breathe life into wood. His creations were said to possess an almost lifelike quality, as though the spirits of the forest had taken residence within the grain. Yet, it was one particular creation, a wooden doll, that would seal his fate and unleash a curse that would span generations. Victor's wooden doll, later known simply as the Mariska, was unlike any other he had crafted before. Standing at just under 2 feet tall, the doll bore the likeness of a young girl, her round cheeks painted with rosy hues, her lips curved into a faint smile. Her eyes, crafted from polished amber, seemed to follow observers wherever they stood, giving her an unsettling air of sentience. According to local legend, Victor created the doll as a gift for his only daughter, Mariska, who had recently fallen ill with a mysterious ailment no doctor could diagnose. Desperate to bring joy back into her life, Victor poured every ounce of his skill and devotion into the doll, hoping it would serve as a talisman of healing and protection. However, the doll's creation came at a great cost. In his quest for perfection, Victor turned to forbidden practices, consulting ancient texts on folk magic and enlisting the help of a local mystic rumored to dabble in dark arts. The mystic warned him of the consequences, cautioning that infusing such a creation with protective magic required a sacrifice, something Victor dismissed in his desperation. On the night of the doll's completion, Victor performed a ritual, carving runes into the doll's back and whispering incantations meant to bind Mariska's spirit to the object, ensuring her recovery. At first, the doll seemed to work wonders. Mariska's health improved dramatically, and she became inseparable from her new companion, carrying it everywhere she went. Villagers marveled at the transformation, crediting Victor's craftsmanship and dismissing rumors of witchcraft. But soon, strange occurrences began to plague the household. Objects moved on their own, faint whispers echoed through empty rooms, and Mariska herself grew increasingly withdrawn, speaking only to the doll as though it were alive. One fateful evening, Victor discovered his daughter lying lifeless in her bed, the doll cradled in her arms. Her face bore an expression of terror, her fingers clutching the doll so tightly they left indents in the wood. The villagers were quick to blame the doll, claiming it had siphoned Mariska's life force to fulfill the terms of the curse. Fearing retribution, Victor attempted to destroy the doll, but it resisted all efforts. Axes dulled against its surface, fire refused to consume it, and burial only led to its reappearance days later on his doorstep. Desperate and broken, Victor fled the village, leaving the doll behind. It wasn't long before misfortune befell those who came into contact with it. Children fell ill, livestock perished, and entire families disappeared without a trace. Word of the cursed doll spread far beyond the village, earning it a reputation as an object of malevolence. Over time, it passed through countless hands, each owner meeting a grim fate. Some claimed the doll whispered secrets in dead languages, while others swore they saw its amber eyes shift to follow their movements. Despite, or perhaps because of, its sinister reputation, collectors and thrill-seekers sought it out, drawn by morbid curiosity or the hope of breaking its curse. Yet none succeeded, and the doll continued to wreak havoc, its origins forever tied to Victor's tragic folly. To this day, the Mariska remains a symbol of the dangers of tampering with forces beyond human comprehension. Its existence serves as a grim reminder that some creations are born not of love or artistry, but of desperation and darkness. As we delve deeper into the haunted legacy of wooden dolls, the Mariska stands as a chilling testament to the thin line between craftsmanship and curse. The haunting presence of the wooden doll, tales from owners across to me as the Mariska made its way through the centuries. It left behind a trail of despair and destruction, each owner unwittingly becoming part of its cursed legacy. From wealthy collectors to unsuspecting families, the doll's influence transcended borders and generations, weaving a tapestry of terror that defied explanation. These accounts, collected from historical records, personal testimonies, and paranormal investigations, paint a chilling portrait of an object that seems to defy the natural order, preying on the lives of those unfortunate enough to cross its path. One of the earliest recorded incidents occurred in the early 20th century when the doll surfaced in the possession of a British aristocrat, Sir Reginald Hawthorne. An avid collector of rare artifacts, Sir Reginald acquired the Mariska during a trip to Eastern Europe, unaware of its dark history. Upon bringing it home, he placed it prominently in his estate's library, marveling at its craftsmanship. However, within weeks, strange occurrences began to plague the household. Servants reported hearing faint giggling emanating from the library at night, despite no children being present. Books flew off shelves, candles extinguished themselves, and the temperature in the room plummeted without explanation. Sir Reginald initially dismissed these events as coincidence or overactive imaginations, but his skepticism was shattered when his youngest daughter, Emily, fell gravely ill. Doctors were baffled by her condition, describing symptoms akin to exhaustion and malnutrition despite her consuming regular meals. One evening, Emily's governess entered her room to find the child sitting upright in bed, clutching the Mariska tightly. Her eyes were wide with terror, and she whispered, "She won't let me go." Days later, Emily succumbed to her mysterious illness, her body discovered still clutching the doll. Distraught and terrified, Sir Reginald Hawthorne attempted to destroy the Mariska, only to find it inexplicably reappearing in his study the following morning. He eventually donated it to a museum, hoping to rid himself of its curse, but reports suggest the doll vanished shortly thereafter, resurfacing decades later in another corner of the world. In the mid-20th century, the Mariska found its way into the hands of a struggling American family in rural Ohio. Mary Ellen Carter, a single mother of 3, purchased the doll at a flea market, drawn to its intricate design and affordable price. She gifted it to her eldest daughter, Sarah, who initially adored the toy. However, the family's joy was short-lived. Within days, Sarah began exhibiting erratic behavior, refusing to sleep without the doll and speaking in a voice that sounded eerily unlike her own. Neighbors reported seeing a figure resembling Sarah standing by the window late at night, though the girl claimed she had been asleep in bed. The final straw came when Mary Ellen awoke one morning to find her youngest son, Tommy, unconscious in his crib, the Mariska perched ominously beside him. Though Tommy survived, the incident left him with lasting neurological damage. Convinced the doll was responsible, Mary Ellen locked it away in the attic, but the disturbances only worsened. Doors slammed shut on their own, shadowy figures darted across hallways, and the faint sound of a child's laughter echoed through the house. Desperate, Mary Ellen burned the doll in her backyard, only to find its charred remains intact the next morning, as though mocking her attempts to destroy it. Modern encounters with the Mariska continue to terrify those who dare to investigate its curse. In the 1990s, paranormal investigators documented a particularly harrowing case involving a couple in New Orleans who unknowingly purchased the doll at an estate sale. The husband, a skeptic, mocked the wife's fears until he woke one night to find the doll perched on his chest, its amber eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. He claimed it whispered his name before vanishing into thin air. Audio recordings captured during their investigation revealed chilling EVPs, including a voice muttering, "You'll never escape." Even today, reports of the Mariska persist, with sightings spanning continents and cultures. In Japan, a collector reportedly committed suicide after acquiring the doll, leaving behind a note that read, "It won't stop moving." Meanwhile, a family in Australia claimed their pet dog went missing after the doll appeared mysteriously in their home, only to reappear days later with deep scratches covering its body. Each account adds another layer to the doll's haunting legacy, reinforcing the belief that it is not merely an object but a vessel for something far more sinister. For those brave enough to seek it out, the Mariska offers more than just a brush with the supernatural. It serves as a stark reminder of humanity's vulnerability to forces beyond comprehension. Its victims span generations, united by their shared encounters with an entity that defies logic and reason. Whether driven by curiosity or hubris, those who come into contact with the doll often find themselves ensnared in its web of despair, their lives forever altered by its malevolent presence. And so, the Mariska continues to roam, its whispers reaching out from the shadows, desperate to claim its next victim. The enigmatic echoes of the wooden doll, whispers from beyond the haunting power of the Mariska extends far beyond its physical form, manifesting in ways that blur the boundaries between the tangible and the ethereal. Those who have encountered the doll describe experiences that defy rational explanation, phenomena that suggest the doll is not merely an inanimate object but a conduit for something far more sinister. From disembodied voices to spectral apparitions, the Mariska's influence permeates both space and psyche, leaving an indelible mark on those unfortunate enough to cross its path. One of the most frequently reported phenomena involves auditory hallucinations. Victims describe hearing faint whispers emanating from the doll, voices speaking in languages they cannot understand or uttering cryptic phrases that seem to echo directly into their minds. In one chilling account, a woman named Claire recounted waking in the middle of the night to the sound of a child sobbing. Following the noise, she traced it to the room where the Mariska sat on a shelf, its amber eyes glinting in the moonlight. As she approached, the sobbing gave way to a low, guttural growl, and the doll's head tilted slightly as though acknowledging her presence. Terrified, Claire fled the house, leaving the doll behind, but the whispers followed her, plaguing her dreams for months afterward. Equally unsettling are the visual manifestations associated with the Mariska. Witnesses have reported seeing shadowy figures darting across their peripheral vision, only to vanish when directly confronted. Others describe the doll itself moving independently, shifting positions or turning its head to face them even when no one is near. In one particularly harrowing case, a father claimed to have seen the doll levitate off a table, hovering menacingly before crashing to the floor with a deafening thud. Paranormal investigators capturing footage of the event noted strange distortions in the video, as though the doll emitted an energy that disrupted electronic equipment. Adding to the mystery is the phenomenon of residual haunting, where the emotions and actions of the past are replayed like a spectral recording. Footage captured by some teams appears to show orbs of light hovering near the doll, while thermal imaging devices reveal humanoid shapes moving through walls. One group of investigators reported capturing a chilling image of a young girl standing beside the doll, her translucent form fading in and out of focus. When shown to local historians, the photograph sparked debate about whether the apparition could be the spirit of Mariska, Victor's daughter, forever bound to the doll that bears her name. Perhaps the most disturbing aspect of the Mariska's haunting power is its ability to manipulate emotions and perceptions. Victims often describe feeling an overwhelming sense of dread or unease in the doll's presence, as though the air itself resists their movement. Some report sudden drops in temperature, sending shivers down their spines even in warm environments. Others speak of vivid nightmares filled with images of the doll, its amber eyes glowing ominously as it looms over their beds. These psychological effects linger long after exposure, leaving victims questioning their sanity and fearing the doll's return. Skeptics have attempted to rationalize these phenomena, attributing them to environmental factors such as electromagnetic interference or psychological suggestion. Yet none of these explanations fully account for the consistency and specificity of the reports. Local paranormal investigators conducting overnight studies have captured intriguing footage and audio clips, including EVP recordings of a voice muttering phrases like, "Stay away," and "You're mine now." While conclusive evidence remains elusive, the cumulative weight of these accounts lends credence to the belief that the Mariska is indeed haunted. What makes the Mariska particularly compelling is its dual identity as both a functional beacon of remembrance and a vessel of mystery. By day, it draws tourists eager to marvel at its craftsmanship and historical significance. By night, however, it transforms into a realm of uncertainty, where the line between the living and the dead blurs into shadow. Whether the spirits of its past truly haunt its grounds or the doll channels residual energy from its storied history, one thing is certain: those who encounter it leave with more than just photographs and souvenirs. They carry with them the lingering impression of having brushed against the supernatural. To stand in the presence of the Mariska is to confront the enduring power of place and memory. Its beams may guide ships to safety, but its shadows seem to beckon curious souls to delve deeper into its mysteries. For those brave enough to heed the call, the doll promises an unforgettable encounter with the unknown, an experience that reminds us that even the brightest lights can cast the deepest shadows, the shadowy depths of the wooden doll's influence, a psychological abyss beyond its physical manifestations. The Mariska exerts a profound and insidious influence on the minds of those who encounter it. This psychological manipulation is perhaps the doll's most terrifying attribute, as it preys not only on fear but also on the fragile constructs of sanity and self-perception. Victims often describe a creeping sense of paranoia, as though the doll is not merely observing them but actively dissecting their thoughts, unraveling their defenses piece by piece. One recurring theme in these accounts is the sensation of being watched. Owners of the Mariska report feeling an unshakable gaze fixed upon them, even when the doll is out of sight. This omnipresent surveillance creates a suffocating atmosphere, where every movement feels scrutinized and every moment becomes a test of resolve. In extreme cases, individuals develop agoraphobia, unwilling to leave their homes for fear of what might happen in their absence. A man named Gregory, who briefly owned the doll in the 1980s, described how he would barricade himself in his bedroom at night, convinced that the Mariska was plotting against him. "It wasn't just looking at me," he recalled in a shaky voice during a televised interview. "It was knowing me. Knowing my weaknesses, my fears. Like it was waiting for the perfect moment to strike." Sleep disturbances are another hallmark of the Mariska's psychological grip. Insomnia plagues many who come into contact with the doll, their nights consumed by vivid and grotesque nightmares. These dreams often feature the Mariska as a central figure, its amber eyes glowing with malevolent intent as it stalks them through labyrinthine corridors or whispers dire warnings in dead languages. Even when awake, victims struggle to distinguish reality from illusion, haunted by fleeting glimpses of the doll in reflections or shadows. A woman named Patricia claimed that after purchasing the Mariska at an antique shop, she began experiencing episodes of sleep paralysis, during which she felt the doll's cold, wooden hands pressing down on her chest. "I couldn't scream, I couldn't move," she recounted. "All I could do was stare into those eyes, knowing it was inside my head." The doll's influence also extends to relationships, sowing discord and mistrust among those closest to its victims. Families torn apart by paranoia and fear often cite the Mariska as the catalyst for their unraveling. Siblings turn against one another, accusing each other of hiding the doll or orchestrating its reappearance. Spouses grow distant, unable to comprehend the extent of their partner's obsession with the object. In one tragic case, a couple in Michigan ended their marriage after months of escalating tension caused by the doll's presence. The husband accused his wife of deliberately placing the Mariska in his path, while she insisted he was fabricating the encounters to drive her away. Their final argument culminated in the destruction of their home, as both parties attempted, and failed, to rid themselves of the doll. Local historians and psychologists speculate that the Mariska's psychological impact stems from its ability to exploit deep-seated fears and vulnerabilities. Its lifelike appearance and unsettling sentience tap into primal anxieties about the uncanny, blurring the line between human and object. Moreover, the doll's association with death and loss amplifies these fears, forcing victims to confront their mortality in ways they cannot escape. Some argue that the Mariska acts as a mirror, reflecting the darkest corners of its victims' psyches and amplifying their inner turmoil. Others believe it serves as a vessel for external entities, channeling malevolent forces that feed on despair and chaos. Despite, or perhaps because of, its sinister reputation, the Mariska continues to draw individuals seeking answers or thrills. Paranormal investigators equipped with EMF detectors and infrared cameras regularly conduct overnight vigils, hoping to capture undeniable evidence of the doll's influence. Footage captured by some teams appears to show orbs of light hovering near the doll, while audio recordings reveal faint whispers and unexplained knocking sounds. Meanwhile, curious collectors and thrill-seekers acquire the doll, eager to experience firsthand the chilling ambience that permeates its presence. For those brave enough to confront its shadowy depths, the Mariska offers more than just a brush with the supernatural. It serves as a stark reminder of humanity's capacity for cruelty and resilience. The doll is a tombstone for the forgotten, a place where the echoes of the past refuse to fade. And as long as the structure stands tall and the rooms remain occupied, the spirits of Prescott will continue to roam, their voices crying out from the shadows, desperate to be heard. The cursed ground of the wooden doll's journey, a trail of despair as the Mariska traveled through time and space, it left behind a wake of devastation, transforming the lives of its owners in ways both subtle and catastrophic. Each chapter of its journey added another layer to its cursed legacy, weaving a tapestry of despair that defied explanation. From wealthy collectors to unsuspecting families, the doll's influence transcended borders and generations, becoming a harbinger of ruin for anyone who dared to possess it. In the early 20th century, the Mariska resurfaced in the opulent halls of a German baroness's estate. Baroness Helga von Falkenstein, a recluse with a penchant for occult artifacts, acquired the doll during one of her frequent expeditions to Eastern Europe. Drawn to its intricate craftsmanship and enigmatic aura, she displayed it prominently in her private study, unaware of the horrors it would unleash. Within weeks, servants began reporting strange phenomena, footsteps echoing through empty corridors, doors slamming shut without cause, and the faint sound of a child's laughter drifting through the halls. The Baroness dismissed these occurrences as tricks of the mind, but her skepticism was shattered when her prized thoroughbred horses were found dead in their stables, their bodies marked with symbols resembling the runes carved into the doll's back. Helga's descent into madness followed swiftly. She became obsessed with the Mariska, spending hours locked in her study, whispering to it as though it were alive. Guests at her estate described her demeanor as increasingly erratic, her once refined features now gaunt and hollow. One evening, during a lavish dinner party, Helga abruptly excused herself, retreating to her study. Hours later, guests discovered her lifeless body sprawled across her desk, the Mariska clutched tightly in her arms. Her diary, found beside her, contained frantic scribblings about the doll's voice, urging her to join it in eternal slumber. The estate was abandoned shortly thereafter, its halls left to decay under the weight of its dark history. Decades later, the Mariska re-emerged in the United States, finding its way into the hands of a struggling artist named Marcus Holloway. Marcus, desperate for inspiration, purchased the doll at a flea market, believing its eerie presence would fuel his creative endeavors. At first, the doll seemed to work its magic, sparking a flurry of macabre paintings that gained critical acclaim. However, success came at a steep price. Marcus's work grew increasingly disturbing, depicting scenes of violence and despair that mirrored the tragedies unfolding in his personal life. His wife left him, citing his obsession with the doll as the breaking point, and his young daughter, Lily, began exhibiting bizarre behavior, speaking in a voice that sounded eerily unlike her own. The final straw came when Marcus awoke one morning to find Lily unconscious in her bed, the Mariska perched ominously beside her. Though she survived, the incident left her with lasting psychological scars, prompting Marcus to attempt destroying the doll. Fire refused to consume it, axes dulled against its surface, and burial only led to its reappearance days later on his doorstep. Desperate and broken, Marcus donated the doll to a museum, hoping to rid himself of its curse. Yet reports suggest the Mariska vanished shortly thereafter, resurfacing in another corner of the world to claim its next victim. Modern encounters with the Mariska continue to terrify those who dare to investigate its curse. In the 1990s, paranormal investigators documented a particularly harrowing case involving a couple in New Orleans who unknowingly purchased the doll at an estate sale. The husband, a skeptic, mocked the wife's fears until he woke one night to find the doll perched on his chest, its amber eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. He claimed it whispered his name before vanishing into thin air. Audio recordings captured during their investigation revealed chilling EVPs, including a voice muttering, "You'll never escape." Even today, reports of the Mariska persist, with sightings spanning continents and cultures. In Japan, a collector reportedly committed suicide after acquiring the doll, leaving behind a note that read, "It won't stop moving." Meanwhile, a family in Australia claimed their pet dog went missing after the doll appeared mysteriously in their home, only to reappear days later with deep scratches covering its body. Each account adds another layer to the doll's haunting legacy, reinforcing the belief that it is not merely an object but a vessel for something far more sinister. For those brave enough to seek it out, the Mariska offers more than just a brush with the supernatural. It serves as a stark reminder of humanity's vulnerability to forces beyond comprehension. Its victims span generations, united by their shared encounters with an entity that defies logic and reason. Whether driven by curiosity or hubris, those who come into contact with the doll often find themselves ensnared in its web of despair, their lives forever altered by its malevolent presence. And so, the Mariska continues to roam, its whispers reaching out from the shadows, desperate to claim its next victim. And so, dear viewers and fearless explorers, we arrive at the end of our journey into the eerie and enigmatic legacy of the Mariska, a wooden doll that has transcended its humble origins to become a symbol of supernatural terror. From its cursed beginnings in a remote European village to its modern-day appearances across the globe, the Mariska has woven a chilling tapestry of despair, mystery, and the unexplainable. Its influence spans generations, leaving behind a trail of haunted lives and unanswered questions. These stories are more than mere ghost tales. They are fragments of a past that refuses to be forgotten, beckoning us to explore their depths and perhaps confront our own fears. But this isn't the end. It's merely the beginning of your own adventure. The Mariska, like so many haunted objects, represents the thin line between the ordinary and the extraordinary, the seen and the unseen. Whether you're drawn to its legend out of curiosity, skepticism, or a desire to understand the unknown, the true magic lies in your willingness to explore. Keep your flashlight handy, your mind open, and your courage steady, because you never know what might be watching from the shadows. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the supernatural side of haunted artifacts, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. You won't want to miss our next exploration into the eerie and unexplained. Share this video/article with fellow thrill seekers, leave your thoughts in the comments, and tell us, do you believe in cursed objects, or do you think it's all in the mind? Your engagement fuels our passion for storytelling, and we're grateful to have you as part of this community of curious minds and brave hearts. Until next time, keep chasing the mysteries that lie just beyond the veil. After all, the ghosts of the past, and perhaps even the Mariska itself, are always watching, and sometimes, they're closer than you think. Stay spooky, stay curious, and remember, the unknown is calling. Will you answer?